Welcome back to another episode of Who Am I to Judge podcast. I'm Alexis.
And I am Samantha. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back. How are you?
I am cool. I am definitely tired. It's been a long day at work, but yeah, I'm here ready to do the podcast. Had a chill weekend, did some work, did some relaxing and sleeping and cuddling with Jupiter. And what else did I do this weekend? I watched Inside Out 2 for the first time, finally, which was so good and life-changing a little bit. But, and then, yeah, just still been going down rabbit holes of this whole Hollywood thing. Like, I just can't look away. So I'm like on TikTok going down rabbit holes. But yeah, that's pretty much how my weekend has been and how I'm going into the week, because we are recording on Monday today. So yeah, how are you, Alexis? We haven't talked all weekend.
I know we didn't talk all weekend because I had a work trip to Houston and it was crazy.
When you got back, though.
And then when I got back, what did I do when I got back?
You were just
I had to pick up Mello.
Yeah, you didn't even call me on your drive to
Julia
Delaware.
was with me, so I couldn't call. Sorry, friend.
Okay.
But no,
See how she treats me.
You're hilarious. It was good. I'm just getting so excited for my birthday. My birthday's on Friday.
Yes.
And I made 2 dinner reservations. Samantha and Courtney are coming up. So I'm so excited. We hopefully can record in person, that like both of us together, like one of those days.
Yeah.
And
I haven't really thought that through yet.
I know, but we haven't thought it through, but maybe. So I'm just so excited about that. I just love birthdays. And oh my God, the most exciting thing, I had my microlock consultation on Friday. And I didn't get to tell you
to hear about this.
I'll tell you the price offline, but I will say this. I was just so shocked because I was just thinking, I was going to get 2-strand twists to start. That's how I started my last set of locks. And not get interlocking. And and then also she's like price tiers. Like the first tier is like, it's like 6 inches and under. And I was like, okay, I'm probably in 6 inches or under. I just always underestimate because of shrinkage and shit like that. So I go, long story short, I talk to her and she talks me into interlocking. And I knew I had a gut feeling. I was like, I'm going to have to do interlocking. And so we did. So I'm
What
excited.
Does that mean?
It's like where they basically form a dread from the start. However, obviously it will the lock will expand and get thicker and bigger over time. So it looks really skinny at first, but they knot the hair up. So it's like a lock already. It gives you the most uniformed look, rather than when you start with 2-strand twists, sometimes they'll be lumpy, the locks, because it'll take the pattern of the curl and the twist a little bit.
Right.
And so I was like, I want to do this set right. The last set were, they lasted me 8 years, but they were done by my mom's friend for $50 in my kitchen, And so I was like, I want to go to a real person and do the real thing. So she measures. Okay. So I'm like, okay, fine. Interlocking takes you to another price range because that's it's very intricate to do that to every strand of hair. And we're talking micro locks. So this is she was like, oh, you have a lot of hair. I was like, well, my hair is people have always told me throughout my life, my hair is pretty, it's not pretty thin, but it's it's thin. It's not thick. She was like, yeah, but you got a whole lot of hair on your head. She was like, I'm thinking you'll get at least 300 locks on here. I'm like, oh my God. So interlocking all of that, I see why, whatever the price is the price. But then she was like, okay, let's measure your hair. So I'm like, okay, please God, let it be 6 inches or under so it stays in that bottom tier since we're already doing interlocking. My hair is 9 inches when you extend it. And so it jumped me immediately to the second tier. And I was like, fuck. So, yes, this is my birthday gift to myself. So I made a date. So October 15th, so Courtney's birthday. I'm getting them done. We start at 8:30. She was like, we'll probably go from, there's going to be 2 people on my head. It'll go from 8:30 to probably 7 p.m., she said. We're just going to go. And she was like, we're going to do it all day in one day.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm so excited to start this journey, my new set of vlogs. So that was the most exciting part of my weekend, obviously in getting Mello back, but my work trip, it was there was funny moments, but I can recap that another time. Let's get to it.
Oh my God.
So,
What's up? Who is on trial, Lex? I'm gonna ask you this
who's
week.
on trial this week? I feel like we need to talk about like religion and just toxic religion. This
Not
is
we need to talk
we need to
about.
talk about it. We got to come to the red table for it. But this is my thing because I like, and I feel like this is just a good jumping off point. But you can kind of take it however. Tia Mowry, she has a new show out about her, and it's really just like showing her life post divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we always talk about divorce. We're pro divorce podcast. Like, nah.
Yes, we are.
We are pro divorce, if it's
Free
natural and
yourself.
healthy for yourself. And so she's living her best life and she's happy, but she's talking to a group of friends about how she's like, this is a new space for her navigating in her 40s, like being single because she grew up in like a very religious household. And, Corey, her now ex-husband, was like, she wasn't allowed to date till she was 18. She met Corey when she was 20 and they started dating when she was 20. She lost her virginity to him at 25 and then she got married to him. So this is like her only experience with a guy or dating
Mm-hmm.
ever. And now she's in her 40s having to like basically date and explore
Yeah.
her sexuality for the first time ever. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people were like talking about it on Twitter about how this is like a really toxic thing about religion, and this is just one of the aspects of it, how like it really like robs women of their like exploring their sexuality in their early 20s because they're just like drilled that like the first person you shouldn't have sex outside of marriage, and when you do you should marry that person and it should be so
Mm-hmm.
serious and it should be marriage, and like it robs the women of kind of experiencing and having a love, like really understanding themselves in that way, that are now having to do it after their first divorce, and talking about how like men in religion usually typically don't ever have to kind of fall by those rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, it just made me think about like us, because we both are like private school Catholic school girls from kindergarten to
Mm-hmm. High
high
school.
school.
Yeah.
And I feel like we had a lot of like not trauma but just like experiences with religion and hearing shit that people would say and do at McNamara where we're just like, what? And so yeah, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that take
On
about
Tia.
Tia, and then yeah, you can go with it where you want.
Yeah. I mean, Tia's stuff, like, I feel like when you were talking, I was just thinking about, like, when do people start exploring their sexuality and stuff? And I feel like it happens earlier than your 20s, like if we're
Mm-hmm.
being real. And I feel like, um, yeah, there needs to be like space for, not just like in your 20s or whatever, um, but yeah, I mean, I feel like it's definitely very important to like have different experiences as like a young woman so that you know what you like. And yeah, like it's definitely, especially for just like women and sex, like I just feel like you don't know what you don't know, like you don't know
Mm-hmm.
like how good it can get or whatever. And so I feel like, yeah, I mean,
Or
but it
even just
also sucks to be out here dating again in your 40s and like
yeah.
having to like deal with how dating is right now. But
And even just like I didn't even think about it, just like she just doesn't even know what type of guy she likes. She's only met
right.
one guy. This is the type of guy it is, and she has nothing
Mm-hmm.
to compare it to or reflect on. It's like she doesn't even really know what else she would like.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's such a sad situation, and like because of the fact that like from her upbringing, she kind of felt like, okay, well, this is it. And then we had sex. And I guess, this is the marriage. And like, I know Tamara, she lost her virginity to her husband after marriage. Like, once
Mm-hmm.
they.
So was she, when she was talking about this, because she was talking to Essence Atkins,
Mm-hmm.
another
Child
childhood
star.
star, and she still acts, but
Beautiful.
yes, very beautiful. All these women are so gorgeous, but were they like talking about it in a sad way, or was it like an exciting way, or
It
was it
was
like
more so. It was more so just like serious. The tone of the conversation was like
mm-hmm.
serious and kind of like anxiety provoking. Like she was like, I don't. She was like, she was asking Atkins for advice because I guess. Oh, sorry, is that her name? Essence for advice
Yeah,
because Essence was like has gone through a divorce, and so she was kind of just telling her like, well, you need to like know who you are. You need to like learn yourself, you know. And she was kind of like,
mm-hmm.
see, and then that's when she was like, well, you know, see, like I have not had any experience with anyone outside of this guy, even including dating, you know? And so it's just like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know who I am or what I like because I've never had to experience it. Now she's in her 40s, you know? And this is the
Yeah.
first time she's going to be like truly dating and
I mean,
truly.
everybody's path is different, so it's
That is
like
real. That is
this is
real.
her. You know, it'll be fine. Like, you know, there's pluses and minuses to everything. Like, you know, doing that in your 20s, like it can also get messy, and you know, you're not as
That's
mature,
true.
and you don't have like certain boundaries or whatever. So you know, it's I feel like, you know, there's negative and positive to everything, but yeah, I mean, yeah, both of them. I know they've had a very religious upbringing,
I did not know
and
that until she said it.
I knew that just from like at some point in like watching their interviews, and then I just remember they would always like have the church episodes of Sister when like they would be singing and Kurt
That's
Franklin
hilarious.
came
Oh,
to the
yeah.
school and stuff. So yeah.
It made me think also just about like our upbringing. And I was like, okay, have we like seen like I mean, I'm sure we've always, you know, in life seen toxic shit with like religion. But I was like, I told you, it made me reminded me of that girl who was pregnant. Like at our school, we had a girl who was a year, I think, older than us.
Yeah.
Who it
Hmm.
was a white girl who like got pregnant
In their high
and
school, yeah.
in high school, and they wouldn't let her wear the uniform, the school
Yeah.
uniform, while she was like showing. Like she had to wear like, you know,
Just a
a
white button
skirt
up
and a white like button down. Like they wouldn't let her wear the like Catholic school like
vest
logo.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
sweater,
sweater.
polo, all of it, senior polo, like at all
I
while she
mean,
was
we've seen them do
pregnant.
crazy stuff too, like just, you know, not acknowledge like gay couples and
When
like
did they do that?
for prom they did. Or for not for prom, for like superlatives. We don't have to get into the specifics, but
Uh
yeah, like they were just like, no, like we don't give a fuck who y'all voted for. Like, this is what it is. So I feel like, yeah, we definitely saw some things, and I'm curious because yeah, we both grew up in Christian
mhm.
Catholic churches. Like,
Mhm.
how did that affect you in your like?
I don't think it had any effect on me. I hate to say it, but it's like as far as like I feel like it had effect on me, not in queerness, but it had an effect on me, and I feel like maybe in like I don't know. This might not be. Maybe this is a little bit of religion, but like I feel like it had an effect on me in like prudeness a little bit, and I feel like I
Okay,
found my like power in that, like especially in Milwaukee on. But I feel like prior to that, I was very much, and even in Milwaukee, I was feel like I was unpacking this like a little bit of like I don't want to be looked at as like a hoe. Like I just feel like that really made an impression on me. Like in high school, I feel like
hilarious,
there were like girls who like in our grade who were just known as like hoes. Like you know, it was like the
quote
boys
unquote.
that quote
Hmm.
unquote hoes. Like the boys talked about them badly. We knew exactly what they did and who they did it with,
That's
and it
funny
was
that
just
you didn't want to be
and I feel like
that.
for me, I was like, I never want to be associated by men or women in that way. And I know that there is a lot of unpacking that needs to go with that. But I feel like that kind of manifested in me like not wanting to like do anything with someone unless I felt like they like fully respected me and I had a commitment. Like and there was some type of commitment. Like I was like not gonna do it. I wasn't like I always used to say I'm fun, but I'm gonna have a fun time. Because it's just like I am not like going to just
Alexis,
be here like, you know,
never
doing
heard
whatever
that.
and then the next day you don't like you're like disrespect me. Like and so I feel like it made an impression on me in that way where I feel like I was very aware in high school like who was respected and who wasn't and for women
Hmm.
specifically who was respected and who wasn't and it most of the time came down to like if they were like sexually active in a way that everyone knew about.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think that made that impression on me. What
So
about
you
you?
didn't have any like it didn't affect you in terms of like your queerness at all.
No, because I feel like at McNamara, I remember one of my religion teachers explicitly saying that she didn't think anything was wrong with it, and this was like our freshman year, and so I was like, oh, okay.
Was that when you were just like knowing that you were gay, or like when did you
Oh,
find
look
this
at you
out?
trying to have like trying to get my business this week. I know you said. Oh my god, that's so funny because I did not expect this, and then you started asking questions. But I'm
It
game.
kind
I'm
of
always
goes into
game.
that, like,
I'm always game.
you know, because
I
we
mean,
were,
this is the thing. I had a very intense crush on Miguel. So it's like for like I will say that like it was
which is
like
a guy
so I
friend in
feel
high
like
school.
yes. So I feel like it was just like it wasn't like I was
Right,
like
that was
gay. In
real.
my mind, I was like, oh, I just like everyone because I was like, I do really like this boy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, one of the girls now, one of the girlies, but I did really like him at one
I
point.
know.
And
He's me and Alexis both have like dated
I,
gay men who are gay now.
but like so basically though, like I feel like I really so it's in my mind I was like, oh, I just like everyone because I did have like crushes obviously on like girls in high school, like various girls in high school, but in
Okay.
my mind I was like I feel like my main thought was like Miguel at the time. So it was just like
How long
it
were
didn't
you crushing
register.
on Miguel? Was that from like freshman year, or was that
No,
like more
absolutely
senior
not
year?
freshman year. Absolutely not. Probably like the end, probably like the beginning, probably like all of senior year. Like it wasn't intense. It was more so just like, oh, this is funny that I'm like kind of like this boy. Like, you know,
Yes,
it was
I
like funny and
know.
endearing to me and like curious because it's just like me and Simone used to like, you know, just like play around with him. So it was like funny. And then
Aww.
it got like, when I realized like, shit, this boy's about to go to Stanford and I'm about to like
Mm-hmm.
maybe never like see him like this. And I don't know what our relationship would look like.
I
I actually
know.
really like him, you know, and
Yes.
you know, but
It's
the
bringing
story
back
goes, the story
memories.
goes. But it's just like, yeah, I feel like,
They're still
um,
besties to this day.
yes, we love each other, but like, I feel like, you know, in my mind in high school, I definitely can, you know, remember being like, oh, I like this girl, like you know,
But you weren't like, oh no, like I'm not supposed to
never,
like girls.
never,
That's great. That's
but
great.
only because I feel like I have a strong sense of, I don't know what the word is, like.
Yeah, you're just like, there's nothing wrong with this. Like you
Yeah,
weren't
I
like,
just I feel like I'm
and that
telling you, the
wasn't.
minute the religion teacher
Mhm.
said that freshman year,
You were like, okay.
everything over. Right? It was like it was like a golden pass. It was like, all right, go for it. You know, like it was. If she had said something different, I wonder if the story would be different. But
Yeah.
I remember it was my first religion class at McNamara, and she said it, and I was like, oh, okay, then let's go for it. Like,
Which teacher was that? I
should I
forget.
say her name on here?
Yeah, why not?
Miss Cunningham.
Okay, yeah, I had her too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
But she did say she was like nothing wrong with being gay, but you can't. She was like, but having sex is where it gets bad.
Oh
She
my
said like
God.
kissing and stuff, whatever. But she said once you have sex, it's like, eh.
Oh
But
my God.
I know.
So like before that, were you like, oh no, like, because you said you got your gold pass freshman year, or were you not really even thinking
I don't
about
even
that
think
in
in
eighth
middle
grade?
school. In middle school, I wasn't even well, and I wasn't really thinking it. And in hindsight, I won't say this. I'll text you this part because I feel like this person might actually listen and it would be very uncomfortable for them. But in hindsight, I feel like I did have like a crush in a way of like another person, but like I didn't register it as that. I feel like in my mind I was just like I really am like drawn to this person. I love hanging out
Mm-hmm.
with this person. We're having the best time ever whenever we're together.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um but it wasn't registered as like or crush, but now as you know, knowing what I know, I can reflect on it as that. But I feel like
Yeah.
freshman year of high school was really like the formative years of like, oh, I'm having crushes on
Right.
girls. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's so funny. I
And
do.
I remember this one thing. Can I say it?
Please.
I forget. There was this our freshman year. There was this like I don't even know her name. It was like this light skinned girl. She was like chubby. She was a senior when we were freshmen, and like we just kind of like always I don't know. We met.
Yeah.
I feel like we had something. We had something maybe an interaction, and ever since that interaction, we always like would talk when we saw each other in the hallway and stuff. And I remember one time I saw, and this was like such an awakening moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's two of them and this is one of them. She like walked out of the I was going to dance team practice. She walked out of the bathroom, and behind her was like this beautiful, like black, like this beautiful stud, like literally, like,
Mm-hmm.
and like I knew she could go to McNamara because she was in like jeans and a t-shirt,
Right.
and I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And she was like, and I remember she was like, "Oh, this is my girlfriend, Alexis," and I remember it was like,
Uh,
I was just like, I want
yeah.
that, like and then I remember when I was in when I was in probably middle school, we went
Mm-hmm.
to Northwestern's our neighborhood school where I live, and
Mm-hmm.
my mom took us to this like I don't know musical there, and in front of us was this stud and her girlfriend, and they were like holding hands and stuff. And I remember my mom was like just kind of looking at them like kind of like weirdly, and I
Yeah.
was staring at them like I couldn't get my because I was just like, what
I
is
know, and
this
it's funny
to
because
me?
I know that look, especially when you were little. You're
I
so
know.
curious.
Mm-hmm. And those are two formative times where I feel like I remember being like,
Oh,
oh,
that's
this
so
is like a
cute. This is a
thing.
possibility.
Right. But yeah, once that girl, and then once I got the hall pass from Miss Cunningham, it was like, all right, let's go.
That is so funny. I feel like I do remember as kids, like I'd be like I just used to say like you had a type, you know?
Who, me?
Yes, like remember you would just like have like crushes on like white girls, like
Stop.
Jessica Simpson, you know?
I
Like it
did
was
love
just,
Jessica
but it
Simpson.
was just like I just like would just like tell you like, oh yeah, like this girl's your type.
I know. It's just funny because,
Like,
like, I feel like even to this day, y'all say shit like that to me. Like, you
I
would love
know.
her.
I know. Now it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah, just somebody that you would be like fascinated by,
Yeah.
like their beauty and
hmm
their whatever. So that's so funny. I'm
That
glad
is so
that it
funny.
didn't have a, like
Well,
I'm
did
glad.
McNamara like? I have the same question for you. Did any of that imprint on you? Like, and not even with like queer shit, but it could be like kind of I was talking about with
Yeah,
like being
everything.
like your sexuality and expressing it or however.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely probably subconsciously. I don't know if it was about the religion stuff so much, but just a combination of like hearing about that and then also just like it being a little taboo. It was just like I definitely had fear in me as well of just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like, probably was like a little, definitely was a little prude-ish until I got to like college for real, like I made out and I had
Mm-hmm.
like some experiences, but like definitely not as much as like other people
Mm-hmm.
were. But I also just didn't like, some part of me just didn't want the drama of that, and maybe like
Yeah.
kind of like what you're saying, but not again like consciously. I wasn't like, oh, I don't want to be a hoe. I just was like, maybe I just kind of knew myself that like my feelings would really get hurt. Like I was out there like, with one of these knuckleheads at
Right.
fucking McNamara, like in our grade or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that, but other than that, I don't know. I think it was probably more subconscious. Like, I think it's weird sometimes thinking about how, like, when we were going through, like, our first, what are those things? Like, our communions or whatever,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
our first communions and stuff. Like, we had to, like do confession, like try to like do
Yes.
confession.
Yes.
And like I just remember being very nervous for that because it was just like you have to just like do it to get your second commandment, whatever the fuck. Second
Your next communion, like
confirmation.
comfort. Yeah. What is it called? The
Communion.
sacraments.
Yes.
Yes. The next sacrament. Yeah.
Hilarious. I would have never thought of that. But yeah, like it was just like, okay, I gotta think of something that is bad. Like it was like, what am I gonna say to this man?
mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I feel like that kind of like guilt subconsciously I have connected to like, you know, again, just like if I would do like if I kissed a boy or something, like sometimes I might feel bad after.
Yeah.
Just feel like, oh no, like what did I do? Like I don't know. And that could also just be like my anxiety and like shit like that. But yeah.
No, that's real. I feel like
And
I feel like that's
luckily,
something I had to think through too. Like I know what you said, because I feel like you had more experiences than me. Like I feel like I was really much on like I'm having a fun time with
yeah,
friends
you
for
were
a
like
while.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like
Which is great.
yeah, which was great, and like I hope like my
You
kid
weren't
wants to
stressed
do
out.
that. Yeah, I was not stressed about
About
it.
a boy, about a
No.
13-year-old or
I
a
was actually
14-year-old.
telling Julia that because I was like, because she was talking about prom, and she was like, "Well, did you kiss your prom date?" I was like, "No." And she was like, "Did y'all do anything?" And I was like, "No." I was like, my friends at prom were just like, we were just having a good time. Like, nobody was on that. And she
I
was like, "Well,
mean,
that's
some
because
people
you're."
were.
Well, some people were, and I was like, "Okay," but I was like, some people were like, but I was like, she was like, "Well, that's because you don't like boys," and I'm just like, well. Also, I just feel like my mantra for so long was just like, I'm having fun with my friends. And I do believe the most interesting people are people who do not center like
Mm-hmm.
their that like romantic love in their life
Mm-hmm.
all of the time. But anyway, back to what we were saying. I agree.
Yeah,
I
we
felt
were
that
an
kind of guilt.
interesting bunch. We were an interesting bunch.
Yes. I felt that guilt too though. Like especially I remember like moving to like I don't know, like I was thinking about this the other day, like my master's year at Delaware, when I did that 4+1 program and I had one extra year for the master's. I remember it was like an awakening where I was like, I very much had a crush on one of the people I was living with.
Mm-hmm.
It was like so much like, are we gonna do this, are we not, like type thing, and
Hilarious.
and I remember telling myself like, when I move, like I'm just going to like abandon this like guilt that I feel, or this like
Mm-hmm.
really weird like worry about feeling like feeling like people are gonna look at me as a hoe if I do anything. And but it was still something that I had to like learn
Yeah, you had
into.
to
And
like think through. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, and I do think that that's a little bit of like the programming we had at
Mm-hmm.
McNamara. and
And before
and
that, we were
before that.
getting in trouble. I remember
For
we were
what?
getting in trouble for making out and or kissing. Making out was like giving a peck in the band room. And like we almost got freaking. They were like, "You won't be able to go to the Disney trip if you guys do that again." So it was
That's
just like
hilarious.
stuff like that was very, you know.
Well, I want to know. I have questions for you, for us to get to know the people, get to know you. When did you
Mm-hmm.
kind of have your like awakening of like, oh, I kind of like girls?
That's been really recent, honestly. Like, I feel like I've never been like, oh, like, I am, I was gonna say, strictly tickling. I've never just been like, you know, yeah, but I do feel like probably when my sister started dating women like
Yeah,
seriously,
yeah, yeah.
I just was like, and then also her, being like, Samantha, like, you need to date a woman, like just like, you really need to think about whatever. Like, she was really
Right.
whatever. And I have, even way before that, I've just been like, humans are human, like, you love who you love, like, you know, I definitely was on that bandwagon, like, for myself
Mm-hmm.
as well. So I feel like I've always just been kind of like fluid in that way of just
Mm-hmm.
like, I fall in love who I fall in love with, or like
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's just like opening that up to be like a real possibility, and getting hit on by women,
Mm-hmm.
and like just really thinking about like what that would be like to be in like a relationship, and then having a real crush. Like, I remember I had this crush on this one girl
Mm-hmm.
that I met on an app that was like terrible. It was just whatever.
What was the app? Like, why are you acting like this?
I mean, it was Hinge, but I'm
Okay.
saying nothing came of that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she ended up sadly ghosting. It's really sad that people
Oh
do
God.
that. But so So I feel like around then I was just like, yeah. And like I just talked to some of my friends about it. And then just having like little vibes with certain people and being
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
just like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
just like I am, like I like you as a
Yeah,
person,
yeah, yeah.
whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like then just talking about it and being like, I know one of my friends, Moni, was just kind of like, yeah, like I've always just kind of thought of you as like fluid, like, like
Mm-hmm.
fluid. And I'm just like, yes, like
Mm-hmm.
that is what I've always just been.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because of society, I just haven't really ever like truly explored it and didn't have a lot of like examples, like you said, like I didn't see that really, like I didn't have like those two times when I saw like a stud couple and like was like, oh, like this is an option. Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any of those examples. So
Mm-hmm.
um
It's interesting. Yeah, I feel
I
like
never considered it for myself
yeah, and it's
until I was
wild because
older.
I'm trying to think, were there any like serious gay couples? I feel like it was like that one girl who was like a senior when we were freshmen. She was like had dreads. She was like dark skinned. She was like fine actually. Now thinking about it. She was like
Hmm.
a stud,
There
and
was
she
some
dated I think Shanika.
I don't know.
Uh,
Let's not call people
we'll
out,
stop saying names. Yeah, we'll
but
stop saying names.
but yes, there was definitely some girls that like had that energy, and like I know I was even talking to my sister. She was like, "Yeah, I just wasn't thinking about that
Yeah.
then." But like if
Mm-hmm.
I look back, it's just like, yeah, they were fine,
So will you ever date a like now in this new journey of like who like I'm fluid, like do you see your I mean not that you have to say what you are, but like are you open to dating both men and women at this time? Is it just women or is
Absolutely.
it just
No,
men?
men and women. I am still I have been fluid all my life, and now that I have that word, it's like that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm definitely open. I've had most of my experiences with men, but yeah, I'm open for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely open, and I can see even just like being in program like just sometimes like an outreach, like there's a thing called like um 13th stepping, where it's just like getting romantically involved with somebody in the program or
Oh no.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, or like a newcomer or whatever, and so
Mm-hmm.
I've just like been like cognizant about
Mm-hmm.
like women that are more masculine
Mm-hmm.
and or
Is that
that
your type, like for women, or you don't know?
probably, but I also just think women are so beautiful. I
Mm-hmm.
can't imagine being in a relationship with somebody that's just as feminine as me.
Why?
Just because I don't know, I do just like that. I just feel like I want to be fully in that feminine space. And
Do
not
you think?
saying that they're not going to be, but just in a different way, you know?
Yeah, I get
I
you.
want to be like I think we're both goddesses, but I want to be like
The only goddess
I
in the room.
want to be like Mother Earth. Like, no, I think I would be whatever that package came in,
Mm-hmm.
I think it could be that too. Like somebody that's just an amazing woman that is feminine, but yeah, I could see that too. I'm like thinking of a couple people in my head. But anyways,
Fine, Mellow.
but yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, and how do you feel about it now? Like how you
What?
know that some people are like just how like religious people are so
I just think religion. I mean, I would consider myself a religious person in the sense that, like, I do believe in God. I
yeah, what do you
pray.
believe in, Alexis?
God, I
Are
pray.
you a Christian,
I
would
would
you
say I'm a
say?
Christian. Like, I pray multiple times a day. I am.
When do you pray?
I mean,
Aw.
I pray usually. I mean, without like I always pray before I go to sleep.
Hmm.
Usually you know, just if something good happens to me, like, you know, like I just do a quick prayer of thanks, you know, and gratitude,
Thanks.
you know, gratitude, thanks. Or if I hear
Of
something really
course.
sad or bad, I pray for
Yeah.
it. Like in that moment, I'll like spend like, you know, a
Mm-hmm.
quick minute or 30, you know, 30 seconds to a minute, like praying for that person. Like, so it's like,
Yes.
I do believe prayer works. And, so like for me, like you know, I
Absolutely.
would say I'm a religious person, but I would say that
Religious
it's,
or spiritual?
I don't know the difference. But I will say that, like, I do think that people can weaponize it. And I do think that being a religious or spiritual person looks different to everybody. And that's, like, totally okay. You know, like, for example, my
Mhm.
mom goes to church every day. Like every morning, my mom is at church at the 8:30 mass every
Oh
morning.
my
And then on
God.
Monday and Wednesday, she works at the food bank after at church. It's like that
Mm-hmm.
is how she shows her, you know, faithfulness. My
Mm-hmm.
grandmother went to church every day when she cared for us. She would take us every day
Mm-hmm.
during the summers and everything like that. It's like that's how they show it. But I also
Mm-hmm.
think you can also just be a person who like prays or reads the Bible or doesn't do any of that and just like has a mindful walk and, you know, thanks the
Mm-hmm.
God. You know, it's just like to me, it's just like it can look differently and it's not, there's no good perfect way to do it. But then
Mm-hmm.
secondly, I think it can be weaponized, and I think we see that a lot in, like, you know, I think
In
it
the world
manifests
right
in the
now.
world right now in politics, and also it manifests in, you know, how we live our everyday life. And I do think that women sometimes take the brunt of it because of the, you know, and it
Yeah.
manifests in us feeling weird about how we dress or how we
Patriarchy.
show our, you know, sexuality or, you know, how we behave. And so that's something that I feel like I've always been like very
Mm-hmm.
aware from the
Mm-hmm.
moment, from ever. I've always been aware of that.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, I think my mom did a good job of just letting me know, like, in subtle ways, just how the world kind of is set up, and just like
Mm-hmm.
women are strong, and it's just like, I don't know, just knowing that, I don't know, the world's like the patriarchy, basically set up in that way.
Absolutely.
But
But I'm glad I got to learn a little bit about you in this little segment.
I will say that I feel like my experience, and I've said this on other podcasts, just like, because I have my mom being Jewish and my pop he converted to Judaism
To Mary.
for my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And so just knowing that there you have choices and stuff like that, and yeah, I just wasn't so like, oh, this is how, like, fanatical about it. I
I
did
will
like,
say
yeah.
that, like, I think I am like very unique and special in the sense that like my religious upbringing really didn't affect my queerness. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
Julia, on the other hand, like you can't really talk about religion around her or she gets like instantly triggered, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm. There's a
because
lot
of,
of religious trauma.
yeah, and she has a lot of religious trauma. And I know for other people it's like that. And it would be interesting to like bring Miguel on here and talk to him about that. And like,
Right.
because I feel like for me, I was just, I don't know the word, but I just kind of knew it
Yeah.
didn't really
You
matter
just
what
knew
they said. I was
yourself.
going to live
Yeah.
my life how I was going to live it.
Were
So,
you worried about, I mean, I know, like, you obviously were worried about your, like, family, like, coming out and stuff, but were you worried about it from a religious standpoint? Like, were you like, they might think I'm going to hell? Or was it just
no,
like, okay,
no,
okay.
because no, I don't know. My parents, like my mom goes to goes to church, like I said, every day. However,
It's more
she is
faith
not
based.
conservative. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
she's not. She's never voted conservatively. She's never been a prude. My mom loves to dance. She likes, you know, she enjoys a drink. She cusses. She's a good time. She can have a good joke. She screams at the TV during football. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, this is not someone who's like, she runs the house. She is, you know, she wasn't submissive at all. Like, this is not someone who,
Has homophobe, like,
or just like was at all conservative in any way, the way she lived her life felt, you know, whatever. It's just more so I think she thinks that like being a good Christian is not good Christian, but this is how her mother went to church every day when her mother retired. So she's like, this
Mm-hmm.
is my duty now. Like I feel like everyone
Mm-hmm.
has a thing, and I'm actually curious of like what your thing is. Like for me, I've always said when I retire, I want to be like a companion for people on or like who have really long prison sentences or like death row, like
Mhm.
going and, you know, being a consistent person on their like visiting log, who I like, you know, see them
Mhm.
like once a month or something.
Mhm.
Or, and like that is how I want to
That's
like
cool.
give back, and I guess, you know,
Yes.
with my time. And
Yeah.
like, and I think my mother, for her, it was like, oh, like I remember when she was working, like her and Dee Dee were like, when we retire, we'll go to church every day like mom did, you know. So I feel like that's
Mhm.
just their thing. But do you have anything in your life where you're like, when I, and I do think this
Um.
comes from the like religious background of me just being like, you know, I do think there should be like a service component to like
Oh my
what you
goodness.
do.
Yes.
Like, what did you have like anything like that?
It's funny. Like my service stuff. It's yeah. I guess it could come to from like my spirituality and like giving back I feel like it's more like giving back versus like Alexis, stop
Sorry, Mello keeps
clapping.
licking her paw.
So, but sorry, what were we just talking
Well,
about?
do you
That
have like
threw
a
me off.
thing like that where it's like, when I
Oh
retire,
yeah,
I
I
want to do
mean, I
this?
am not even in my retirement. Like I really, I'm in school for yoga teacher training. I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning
Mm-hmm.
about the body, and I really want to do that as like a job, like helping people feel better in their body, whether it's like older people doing like chair
Mm-hmm.
yoga, kids. Yeah, I want to do service with that and like body healing, and I'm definitely like expanding on what that is because I'm basically healing myself, and then
Mm-hmm.
in that I'm gonna like hopefully be able to help other people. But yeah, I definitely want to do more service, and being in program and stuff. I feel like it's definitely a spiritual program, like
Mm-hmm.
praying every day, giving it up to your higher power, which I do feel is I love that it is a higher power of your own understanding. And yeah, I'm very open. Like I just feel like we don't know anything, like we
Mm-hmm.
come into this world, we really don't know. Like I just know that there is something greater, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that is like what I pray to. And I definitely have been like more open to, you know, shifting like pronouns and stuff sometimes, like sometimes referring to God as like she, like just or just even thinking of it as like a maternal figure and
Mm-hmm.
paternal versus just like, this is my father, and like
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah, and like and just honestly using what I need from it. Like it's like, okay, sometimes I do need a higher power that like feels like, the paternal whatever, and sometimes it's like, why wouldn't this energy be
Mm-hmm.
the best thing ever?
Mm-hmm.
Feminine
Mm-hmm.
energy, and just beyond all of our understanding. So
Mm-hmm. No, I get that. I
yeah.
think we can wrap it up. It's okay for it to be 45
Yeah.
minutes this week. This has been I
Yes.
enjoy getting to know more about
I know.
you.
No, I love getting to know more about you because it's so funny. We've been friends for so long. So, yes, my
And there's things that you're
friend.
still discovering about each other, which is like the fun part about friendship.
I know.
And just being able to um you know, talk to
Yeah.
people. Because I was thinking about this, and I'll end it at this. Like, because I was talking to Miguel today, and I was talking to him, and I was like, you know, like you, Samantha, and Courtney are like three people that I would like tell pretty much anything to, because I know that like you will keep it a secret, you won't judge me,
Hmm.
and it's like okay, like you know, we were talking about that. He was like, yeah, like you know, like I think it's okay. It's absolutely okay to like have people outside of your part, you know, it's okay to like have other people that you tell things to outside of your partner, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like that doesn't have to, it shouldn't be that like you have to tell everything to your partner, you know.
Hmm.
It's like you
Oh
should
my
have
God.
friends
There's
that you
people
can
that you
like talk.
might not want to tell
Exactly,
everything.
it's
It's
like
like
this is
maybe it's about them.
right.
But
Sometimes I want to have girl talk. Sometimes I want to like, you know, be able to share
mhm,
something that is an outrageous thought that like
absolutely.
I don't want to share with Julia, you know? And so it's just like, it's just nice. So
I mean,
so
of
it's fun when
course.
you can continue to learn more about each
Yes,
other.
and you have the best of both worlds, you know?
Yes. But
But
that's all.
yeah, I'm excited to see you for your birthday. How are you feeling
Yes,
about
we will do
turning
like a little recap
32?
on Monday. I'm feeling so fun and great. I am so excited because it's
I
closer to my
know.
microlocks. It's closer to, I mean, I don't
This
know,
new
32 is going to be a great
chapter.
year. Like more money, new chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I
New
mean,
fun
I feel like
things.
30s are just the best. So I'm enjoying it.
Yes,
I don't feel weird
yes.
about it. I think I'll feel weird when I hit 35, but
Okay.
32, I'm fine.
Okay. I know we're still so young. Like
Yeah.
we really do have to be gentle with ourselves.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
well, I'm excited to see you
I will
in
see you on
Courtney.
Friday. Be there on time for the fucking reservation
Oh,
at
girl.
7:30 because we know how you be.
Oh my
Look at this. Look
God.
at this.
Look at us coming. Look at me coming to New York for her birthday, and I'm getting this shit about this. Okay,
Girl, I'm about to
y'all.
flick the lights off. So
Okay,
let's say
y'all.
like, subscribe, comment to Who Am I to Judge
Yes, our
Pod on.
link tree is
Yes.
underneath our show notes.
Okay,
Go to our link
Linktree.
tree. Yes, we're gonna have much more coming on our link tree, but you can get all of our links there.
Yes.
And
Email us your
email us.
topics at Who Am
Yes,
I
or
to Judge
DM us.
Pod or DM us. Until next time.
Okay, love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Remember to email us your discussion topics at whoamitojudgepod@gmail.com. Also, remember to subscribe to Who Am I to Judge podcast on Spotify and everywhere you get your podcasts. If you love us, please rate us and review. And if you don't, leave us alone. Tell a friend to tell a friend. See y'all next week. Bye, friends.